Every woman carries a secret dark fantasy, one she will never admit to her friends, never post online, and never confess to the man she truly wants. She will laugh it off, pretend it doesn't exist, hide it behind casual phrases like, "I don't care," or "I'm not into that sort of thing." But the truth is, she does. Women carry hidden fantasies. Fantasies of surrender, of desire without limitations, of losing control, of being chosen from many. They will never tell you this, because speaking these fantasies out loud would make them too vulnerable, too exposed. But if you can learn to see these fantasies for what they are, you will understand a side of female psychology that almost no man ever discovers. And once you understand it, you will never look at women the same way again. 1. The fantasy of complete surrender. There's a hidden truth most men don't realize. Even the strongest, most independent woman has a secret fantasy of surrender. Not in the sense of weakness, but in the sense of release. In her daily life, she carries responsibility, makes decisions, stays in control, acts like she doesn't need anyone. But deep inside, she longs for the rare man strong enough to take the lead, so she can finally relax. It's not about force, it's about earned authority. Authority that is felt, not declared. When a woman imagines surrender, she isn't fantasizing about submitting to a man, she fantasizes about being with a man who has such mastery over himself that she can trust him completely. Psychologists call this erotic power exchange, a form of desire that grows not through equal control, but through polarity. One partner leads, the other follows. Her fantasy is freedom from responsibility, from independence, from constant decision-making. She doesn't have to think. She doesn't have to worry. She doesn't have to hold everything together. The man she desires simply knows. He acts decisively. He speaks with confidence. And the more power he radiates, the more she wants to give him her own. But very few men ever awaken this fantasy, because they fear taking the lead. They hide behind passivity, waiting for her to initiate. And every time they do, her secret fantasy dies. But the man who leads with calm certainty becomes the living embodiment of her most intoxicating dream. 2. The fantasy of desire without restraint. Here's the truth. Women are constantly approached, complimented, admired, but much of it feels shallow. Men want them casually, temporarily, superficially. What women secretly fantasize about is desire without restraint. A raw, almost uncontrollable desire that makes her feel like the only woman in the world. It's not desperation. It's not clinginess. It's depth. It's the way your eyes linger on her, not because you're weak, but because you see her in a way no one else does. It's the weight of your presence, the intensity of your attention, the silent message. If the world ended tomorrow, I would still want you. Psychologists call this the full object of desire effect, when a woman feels completely consumed, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, existentially. The fantasy is not about how many men want her, but about the one man who desires her with such profound intensity it borders on obsession. But she'll never admit this. Society teaches women to hide hunger for desire, or be judged for it. So the fantasy stays silent. A confident man doesn't beg, doesn't flatter excessively, he shows desire through presence. His touch is intentional. His gaze is unhurried. His silence is charged. She feels it in her bones. Behind his calm exterior burns a fire that sees in her something no other man does. 3. The fantasy of losing control in a storm of passion. A woman controls her emotions, her image, her words, her reputation. But in her deepest fantasies, she longs to let go, to lose control completely in the arms of a man strong enough to handle her. Her voice spills unplanned. Her body reacts faster than her thoughts. Emotion floods, wild, raw, unapologetic. The world sees her as composed. But with him, she wants to be chaotic, messy, unrestrained. And not be judged, but embraced. Psychologists call this erotic dissociation, a desire to escape societal expectations, to stop keeping it together, and to experience herself without shame. But this fantasy only awakens with a man she fully trusts. Without trust, losing control feels dangerous. With trust, it feels divine. Most men never witness this side of a woman, because they are too focused on themselves, their performance, their ego. But the man who truly sees her, listens to her, and creates a safe space for her emotional storm, becomes unforgettable. The paradox. The more grounded and disciplined you are, the freer she feels to become wild. 4. The fantasy of being chosen above all others. She feels all the attention around her, glances, messages, flirtation, the endless microsignals of desire. Most of it is meaningless, but it still registers. Deep inside, she holds one central longing. To be chosen by a man who could choose anyone, but chooses her. She doesn't want to be one option among many, she wants to be the exception. The rare treasure. The secret temptation. This is not jealousy, it is emotional security. She wants to feel that his desire isn't driven by convenience or novelty, but by something real. Psychologists call this perceived rarity and selective attention, when someone values what stands above the crowd. She wants acts that prove she is not just another. The man who cancels other plans when she's hurting. The man who introduces her as my woman, not just a friend. The man whose decisions consistently take her into account. But society teaches women not to want too much, so they pretend not to care. They act aloof. They feign indifference. But in quiet moments, their heart trembles. Being chosen fully, in a world full of distractions, is one of her deepest hidden fantasies. 5. The fantasy of being seen, mind, body, and scars. She knows how to dress, how to present herself, but what she fantasizes about in silence is being seen completely, not only for her beauty, but for her mind, her scars, her fears. She wants a man who notices the layers beneath the polished surface. In this fantasy, her struggle is allowed. Her vulnerability is honored. Her intellect is celebrated. Her old wounds are acknowledged. She wants someone who sees the entire spectrum of who she is, and stays. Psychologists call this integrated identity attachment. The human need not only to be loved, but to be known. Studies of women's fantasies, especially those involving surrender, power dynamics, or emotional depth, show that many of them combine eroticism with emotional safety. A place where she can reveal her broken edges, without fear of rejection.